So we spoke a bit about the plans that you guys all have, these long-term goals that you've got in the pipeline. Where do you see the industry of craft beer heading as a whole?
Oh, that's a good question. It's probably a few different lenses on that. Independent craft beer in Australia is awesome. It's electric at the moment. You know, in every state there's new breweries that are popping up, and I think there's a big draw for local and fresh produce, whether it's your local butcher, your baker, your candlestick maker, or your brewery is another big one that's popping up, and people are starting to learn as the independent craft beer scene kind of educates the consumer. Drinking fresh and drinking local is the best thing you can get. It's like we talked about this on another episode. It's like fresh bread out of the oven. It's just so great when it's just warm and it's nice, you know, rather than eating something that might be 3 weeks old and stale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of room for strong growth in craft beer. And if you look at the stats and some of the IBIS reports and things like that, you know, there is a decline in big beer and lager, and there has been for 15, 20 years plus. And the craft beer segment and the independents especially are growing nearly double-digit year on year in terms of that market share, because Australia's flavour and taste and what they're enjoying out of beer, that whole profile is changing. And it's changing with every little brewery that opens up in the backyard of a consumer. And that's a great thing. You look at the people understand Pale Ale now. It's kind of a common language. But Berliner Weiss and Goza and these sour beers are becoming a really big thing.
Yeah, it's a good point that you make. You know, once someone steps into a place like this and tries something different, they're going to search for that everywhere else that they go, or at least if they see it, they're going to recognise it and know what they're getting themselves into. I guess one other thing I'm interested to know, you know, things are obviously growing. You guys are nearly 2 years into everything. You've come from startup life. You're moving your way through that. There's been another brewery sort of in town that's been bought out recently. Where does that sit in your guys' minds, and do you have any plans in regards to that?
Yeah, well, I think we all started out wanting to make something special, and I think that's kind of where our mindset is still. Moving forward, yes, we do have big plans for the future, for the business and growth and everything like that. But we don't see it going down those directions. What we want is more so a legacy. We have a passion for the business itself, and it's kind of like our baby. You want to go through all the stages. You want to see it grow and all that kind of stuff. So for us, it's more of a legacy. We want to create something magical. We want to create something special, not just in Brisbane, but on a larger scale, and that is going to be passed down hopefully through the generations of each of the families. So at this point, it's just all about the love.
The secret to that that story about legacy is making sure that you have a business model that is sustainable to support that model, and not losing sight of good people drink good beer. Really good groups of shareholders and company owners make great product. It's about, as you grow and you become big and bigger and bigger and bigger, the temptation to reduce quality, the temptation to bulk manufacture in all different places, which you do lose control, which ultimately leads to quality. There's all those sorts of things that they're little pivot points, and everything is a compromise as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. We have a plan, which we're probably not going to talk about over this sort of podcast, but we have a sustainable business plan for the next 20 to 30 years, and I'm really proud of that. We've hit our 5-year business goals in under 2 years, and I'm really excited to try and smash out some of those 20-year goals in 10 years. If someone walked up to Revel and said, hey, we're going to offer you X millions of dollars to buy your company out, the real quick litmus test there is saying, well, why would I? We've got a great company with great people making great products, and we're furthering that journey throughout Australia. We might be making some good money by then, hopefully, And it's a sustainable business model. So why would you do it? And the whole point of that is we wanted to create something more than the sum of its parts. And we've truly done that now. But I think it's only this point in time, and maybe you guys could agree with this, is that we truly are seeing the future potential for this company and that brand of Revel. We know it can go to really, really great places. And I truly believe it's going to be one of Australia's best independent craft breweries in the years to come. And that's what I want for it. But I want that quality to be king.
Yeah, 100%. What about you guys? Do you sort of mimic the same sentiments as well, or do you have your own kind of input on that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if a company comes to you and wants to buy out your company for a squillion, bajillion dollars, there's always going to be that temptation. But I think you have this work-life balance, and if you've got a passion project and it's a project that's it's involving and challenging, why would you give that up? You know, and I think everybody here thinks the same, that it's we're all passionate about it. We all definitely have the challenges.
We're all still very young as well. We've got many
we all have a lot of grey
years
hair.
ahead of us as well.
Many years.
Some of us don't look
Some of
young.
us have more hair than others.
Hundreds of years.
To see it. Yeah, so it sounds like, no one's looking for an exit strategy right away anyway, which I think is a good thing.
It's also, we don't judge. We don't judge those companies from selling to a bigger company.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah, good on them. And thank you for freeing up all the taps. Because a lot of the businesses that we are clients of ours, they love independent breweries. And so they're taking off those companies that sell out. So all it does is create a great opportunity for us to shine. And it's, but we won't also judge anyone for doing that, because things change in life. And, who knows what kind of story that they have going in their business that would have chosen that destiny for them. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And we have to respect that and, kind of look at the opportunity that creates and pat them on the back and say congratulations and well done. And then the real question for me, which we talk about all the time, is what is the future of big beer? Because I know what craft beer is doing. I know exactly where it's going year on year. But my question now is what is happening to big beer, and that 30-year or 20-something year decline of lager, what is actually going to happen in the next 10 years to that industry? And that's what keeps me going, because I know that we're chipping away at that bit by bit by bit, and those people are losing trust in those big companies. They want smaller local produce. And it's empowering every mum and dad business that wants to do it honestly, like we are. And I say, get into it and go for it. But
Be prepared.
be prepared, because making the beer is the easy part. Selling it, that's where the challenge is, and having a brand that supports that.
And at the end of the day, if things like that are happening, obviously they're seeing that it's doing quite well, and it's putting a spotlight on the industry as a whole, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Tony, what excites you about Revel?
What excites me about Revel? When I go into a bottle shop and see our cans on the shelf next to the cans of all the other craft breweries that are around the area, I just get filled up with pride knowing that I'm involved in something that is shared with the public, and the public are buying. They enjoy our beers. Every time you come into this place, you have a look around and people are just enjoying the beers, and that's all you could really want from something like this. It's an awesome feeling to have.
Yeah, look, for me, what excites me about Revel is the potential the business has. We're making a good pathway here in Brisbane, but I'd love to see us expand out into other states, so New South Wales, Victoria, Western Australia, even.
Even South Australia, but
South Australia,
I
come
mean,
on, mate.
They got good wines down there, so.
Maybe.
Coopers, great beer.
And that's going back to what I was saying earlier. This is a passion project, and those are challenges that are ahead of us. But that's really exciting, and I look forward to those days when we can go into state and go into those bottle shops and see our beers. And it's going to happen because we've got to show Australia Maddie's beer.
Yeah.
We're frankly depriving the Australian nation of his gorgeous product. So it's all ahead of us, and it's really exciting to see what the next 10 years might bring for this organisation.
Thank God he wasn't there to hear that, mate. I'll tell you what,
He's the people's brewer for a reason.
his head would be on the roof at the moment.
Can we
He'd float
cut that
so
out?
high.
I can just cut it and send it to him tonight if you like.
I guess picking up on that, like we're proud in the brand and who we are and what we're going to. We're excited when we see a bottle shop with craft beer all across the fridge. I think that's the sort of thing we need to fight for, though. Like, there are a lot of imitators coming in with craft-looking cans or international ownership that are imitating actual independent businesses. We live in this community. We know everybody who's here. Jay isn't somebody who hides behind a spreadsheet looking at margins on how can we shave this and how can we do that. Jay's the kind of guy who knows all of our regulars. He knows our community, he knows our people, he knows everything about this area, and he wears his heart on his sleeve for that. And
He does love a spreadsheet, though.
Yeah.
Wicked spreadsheet skills.
And I think like being proud in who we are and what we're doing, it's not something that we can rest and just let slide. We need to sort of stand up for that and look out for the little guys and the guys that have got the right intentions in the industry.
And if you're wondering how to do that, look for packaged independent beer that has the IBA logo on it, which is quite prominent on a lot of the independent brewery craft beers that are in packaged product out in the bottlers at the moment. We might even put a link to that logo on our podcast so you can see what it looks like if you're interested.
The similarities between the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. It's always better going to a local butcher. It's always better going to a local greengrocer. And in the community hubs where you see breweries opening up, that's what's happening in the area. People want to focus on local or independent. They want to get away from the big boys because.
And it's also it's not that it's cheaper even. You know, people are willing to actually pay to get a better quality locally produced product.
You know, people in the area are being employed by this. We've got kids in uni we're employing. We've got full-timers. We're supporting people who buy in the community. And that's really what human beings want to do is support each other. And I think we're just a little bit of that.
We're also like a voice of the community and a reflection of the community. Because, I mean, if this community didn't like passion fruit and guava gozas, it wouldn't live on our taps. It would disappear and we'd be 20 taps of lagers. But that's not what Bulimba and Brisbane and everyone wants to be.
And it's showing people there's something else out there.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I drank a sour beer and I thought, what the hell is this? It was such a shock to the system that this is beer, but it doesn't taste like beer. You know, it's
refreshing.
It's refreshing. It's different. You get your mind around it, and it's pretty bloody enjoyable.
Yeah, it turns out beer doesn't have to be just fizzy, pale, boring liquid.
Exactly right.
It can actually, be enjoyable to drink.
Fun.
Go figure.
And honestly, it's okay not to like a type of beer, but it's okay to like other types of beer. So, I think
There's
that's
literally thousands and thousands
Yeah.
of them that are yet to be produced. That is, it's a lifetime. You could spend a lifetime trying a new beer every week, and there's still
Deal.
you wouldn't get through all.
Could you imagine how many beers are in the people brewer's head right now that he's just waiting to release?
Gallivanting through
It's
Europe.
like I could imagine in his head right now, just I'll do this, I'll do
and
that.
a pretty bloody good cider as well.
Yeah.